Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Bulgaria is heading for yet another snap election after President Rumen Radev resigned, a move widely expected as he prepares to launch his own political party. With the presidency largely ceremonial, real power lies in parliament, and Radev now appears ready to make that jump. But does he represent change or continuity in a system many Bulgarians see as captured by elites? Joining us is Ivan Vejvoda. He's senior researcher at the Austrian Institute for International Affairs. Ivan, welcome back to TVP World. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Pleasure as always. So what do we know about this gentleman, Mr. Radev?
Indeed, as you said, this was expected in Bulgarian political and social circles. The president has a military background. He's a military pilot with the rank of Major General. He headed the Bulgarian Air Force for a long time. He actually spent, I think, a year in the United States training as a pilot, and then stepped into politics. There's a lot of talk about the fact that Russia had its finger on the scales when he was nominated for the first time in 2016 to become the president, which is a position, as you rightly said, is more ceremonial in Bulgaria's other presidents who are directly elected. And he was elected for a second time in 2021. And he steps down basically in the middle of his mandate. And maybe colloquially put, I think he was itching to get into real parliamentary politics where there is more weight, and there is an expectation that he will form his own political party to run in these snap elections. I think we should say that Bulgaria has been politically unstable. These are the 8th elections since 2021. So they're sort of in the Guinness Book of Records, I would think, with the number of parliamentary elections. The other thing to say is that there has been a lot of disgruntlement in Bulgaria, and the massive protests that took place mid-December in Sofia led to the resignation of the current government of Prime Minister Zhelyazkov. Mostly people were rebelling against corruption, against the proposed budget for the following year. And the government had no other way than to resign in view of the massive protests, as I said.
Right. So why does Radev, President Radev, believe that he is the right man to step into that role, and that his party is going to be ready and waiting for him to lead it?
Well, as all politicians, I'm sure he's done a lot of polling, and probably those polls are telling him that were he to create a political party, that he would not vie so badly in coming elections. There have been comments that this is an attempt to repeat what happened back more than 20 years ago, when out of nowhere the heir to the Bulgarian throne and monarchy, Mr. Simeon, stepped forward, created a party out of nowhere, and achieved a landslide. Now, people are saying that probably former President Radev will not come close to a landslide, but he could fare pretty well, attempting to create some stability. I mean, the other very important thing to say here, and I think that's fundamental given the circumstances, Bulgaria, of course, is a full member of the European Union and of NATO. They have joined the Schengen zone last year. They joined the Eurozone as of January 1st. So they're a full member. But at the same time, President Radev has taken a pro-Russian position on the war in Ukraine. He is against the fact that that Bulgaria provided weapons and fuel to the Ukrainian military. He has constantly been asking for peace, for diplomacy, and saying that the various governments that have been in office have been sort of war governments supporting Ukraine's war effort. And even when Crimea was annexed by Russia, in some TV debates before the second presidential campaign, he actually said that Crimea belongs to Russia. So clearly there's a pro-Russian angle that's very open in him. And given that in Bulgaria there are pro-Russian sentiments, certain pro-Russian sentiments in the public opinion, and there are pro-Russian parties, I think he's counting on maybe coalescing some of those public opinion ratings behind a party that would be bigger than the sum of the parts of those anti-Western parties.
So what does that mean in terms of support for EU membership amongst the Bulgarian electorate?
There are expectations, of course, that he will strike a more European, pro-European tone once elected. And I don't think there are any expectations that Bulgaria would leave either the EU or NATO, but that it would try and have a sort of, if one can compare at all, a position somewhat similar to the position of Hungarian Prime Minister Victor Orbán.
So are we seeing then a fracturing of the support for Ukraine amongst EU countries, with Bulgaria, possibly, Hungary and Slovakia, much more in the Russian camp on that issue?
That is yet to be seen. As I said, the former president, has been against Bulgaria's support, and yet successive Bulgarian governments, including this last one, have provided support to Bulgaria. And the prime minister has been at various NATO and EU summits, and Bulgaria has not been an off voice in the way that Hungary or Slovakia have been. Now, if Rumen Radev becomes prime minister, we'll see whether there will be a change.
Understood. Now, in the last minute or so that we have left, Mr. Vejvoda, corruption. You say that this was the main reason that there were demonstrations at the end of last year. Is Mr. Radev the right person to stamp down on corruption in Bulgaria?
Again, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so we'll see whether he has any intention of going down that road. We will see whether Bulgaria has also been asked to devoid itself of Russian ownership of their main refinery in Burgas. And of course, we will see, given the developments that we're witnessing now, both in NATO and outside of it, how the positioning will happen. Of course, a lot will depend on the type of coalition that will come to power in Bulgaria. Final thing to say is turnout in these elections has been very low, around 33-35%, which speaks to the disgruntlement of people with mainstream Bulgarian politics.
Well, we should be watching closely, as I'm sure you will. Do come and see us again soon, Mr. Vejvoda. Have a good evening.
Very gladly. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. As always, don't go away. Lots more coming up. Goodbye.